Something tells me that it's over, no going back. Can't put the
Yo, what is going on? DJ Crowley here. It is Simmer Down live from home. Once again, we're doing the video things, and we got Matt Rhodes from Tropidelic. What's going on, man?
What's up, brother? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man, it's a pleasure. It's been a while since we've seen each other. I'm sure you've been up to all kinds of amazing things. Been watching the socials, and you guys are crushing it as always. For anybody that doesn't know what the Tropidelic is, tell us about the Tropidelic real quick.
The Tropodelic, it's a band. We get after it. We play music. We tour. We love life. We try to.
Absolutely, man. And you guys are from Cleveland. I want you to tell us about Cleveland and the music scene and kind of how you guys came up in there and what Cleveland is really all about.
I can't speak on behalf of the whole city, but it's Cleveland's a great place to live. I love living here, and for a small city as it is and being where it's located, I think it's got a pretty great scene. A lot of independent venues. You got to kind of be fierce to survive running a venue, or really just in general in this town, between the weather and the crime and everything else. So we're proud to be from here. I love being from here. It's also like, if you're like a touring band, it's a great jump off point. There's so many markets within 4 to 6 hours to hit, which has been really great for us over the years. We kind of branched out into Pittsburgh and Buffalo pretty early. Columbus is about the same distance. A ton of smaller markets close by. Detroit's very close. Chicago's only about 6 hours. So yeah.
Well, tell us about the music scene in Cleveland. I mean, you guys are not 100% a reggae band, obviously, but you hang with the reggae scene. Is there any kind of a reggae feel, other bands in Cleveland, or is it just you guys kind of taking the realm there?
There's this guy named Carlos Jones who's actually have on a early record. I don't know how much is truth to it there is, but it's been said that he's like one of the first American reggae artists, and his bands and his name date back like 30 years ago or so, maybe actually I guess longer than that now. But Cleveland's primarily been known for hip hop and metal music is the kind of the big stuff that makes it out of Cleveland. Most notably recently, like, the MGKs, the Kid Cudis. Prior to that, the Bone Thugs. And then there's bands like Mushroom Head who still like tour the world, and Chimera. People like Trent Reznor like sowed a lot of roots in Cleveland, and dude from Filter, even Dave Grohl's from Warren, which is not far. Maynard from Tool spent some time growing up in Ravenna, which isn't far. Marilyn Manson's from Canton. So there's a lot of that sort of stuff from this area. There isn't a lot of contemporary acts. There's definitely not any reggae touring acts out of this part of the country that I'm aware of. So I guess in that sense, we're kind of blazing our own trail.
Absolutely. And if you guys are just tuning in, you're late. It's all right. You're listening to Simmer Down live from home. We got Matt Rhodes of Tropidelic on the video phone here. We're talking about Cleveland and the music scene out there. And, they are really kind of paving that road. They're not 100% reggae, but they do have reggae influences. And, there's so much hip hop there. There's so much metal. And that's a lot. I mean, you guys are just everything when it comes down to music. Tell us about growing up and kind of how you found music personally.
I think like a lot of other people, I was only subjected to what my parents allowed me to be subjected to, which was like oldies radio a lot, and Beatles and stuff like that. Tom Petty, Full Moon Fever, front to back. Things like that. They forced me to play the saxophone at an early age in the basement of the convent of the Catholic school I went to, and I was miserable. And at some point, I convinced them to let me switch to guitar, and it was just like a good outlet. It was a healthy outlet for me. I pretty quickly just started writing songs and did that whole thing. But it's always been playing an instrument has always been more like a tool for me than like something I like master. I don't credit myself as any kind of amazing guitar player or anything else. I managed to play keyboard by ear, and it's always just like, but it's always just like a means to an end. Like I want to write music, I want to create. So if this, this is a tool that gets me there, sort of thing. Yeah, since about seventh or eighth grade, I've been playing music.
Yeah, man. I mean, vocally and your writing is just this story, man. I mean, you've been through a lot. All the boys in the band have been through a lot. Everybody's been through a lot. Speaking of being through a lot, the pandemic, I call it the jamdemic, because we weren't jamming. There was no live shows. I've been talking to everybody. I was talking to Peanut from 311 about it the other day. And, there are a lot of silver linings in it. Tell us about your experience, through this whole crazy thing we like to call the pandemic, jamdemic.
So we were pretty lucky with the pandemic. It's kind of in our nature to just like roll with the punches and just plow through. And that's what we did. And started with live streamings the live streams did really well off the rip. Then it moved to private parties, did a whole lot of private parties. We were one of the first ones in our region to do like the drive-in movie theater shows. The whatever events that we were able to pull off socially distanced at legitimate venues were very well attended because there, in my opinion, there's so little to do. Now it turns out after all this, pushing, coming up on 2 years almost since that kind of everything hit the fan, that right now is actually the hardest point for us personally. I think a lot of bands in the industry as a whole, and that's because of the restrictions at these venues are deterring a lot of people from coming to shows right now. And there's really no amount of bobbing and weaving to get around that. It's kind of like, it is what it is. If you want to play shows, there's very little options to play at legitimate, reputable venues that don't have these restrictions in place. And like, just like much of the country, people are split on this vaccine issue, and it's causing a lot of people not to show up.
Yeah, that's a good point. We were at Thievery Corporation in Asheville the other night, and you had to have a vaccine card, fully vaccinated to get in there. But then we were at the 311 show down in Atlanta at a huge amphitheater, and there wasn't really anything going on with masks, or anything like that. So it depends on kind of where you are. That's an interesting point. I haven't really heard that yet. This is the toughest point right now. It is. Because you're getting used to it again, but you're also having to dodge all these hurdles that you didn't have to dodge before the whole pandemic, jamdemic,
Yeah. So I figure, like, if you figure, roughly 50% of the country is not getting vaccinated for whatever reason. I personally tend to think that within whatever scene you want to put us in, that it's probably even a higher percentage that are reluctant to get the vaccine. We're finding that even at these shows that offer negative tests as an option, it's generally being dismissed. Like, it doesn't seem like people they're very anti any kind of infringement or what they perceive as infringement on their rights or their health issues or whatever. So yeah, it's been tough, and there's no real way to navigate it. From my experience, 90% of the venues that are available to us have these restrictions. So it's very tough to find a way around it.
It is, but you guys are finding ways. And Everwild, let's talk about Everwild. You had Freak Stomp pre-jamdemic, now you have Everwild. How did you pull that off? Let's talk about you guys and your festival.
Yeah, so we did that. It was in August down outside of Columbus, Ohio, in a town called Newark. It was a new location from the previous year. It was super nerve-wracking for the organizers in particular, which we only play a small part in. But, early on it was like, okay, we'll go on sale with pods. It's just like a moving target the whole time. We ended up being able to throw it in a relatively sort of normal way, and it went great. So it was a challenge for sure. And I think, just by the luck of the dates we choose, it's always like kind of towards the end of summer, we were able to pull it off when events early in the summer probably wouldn't been able to make it through, just because of how things were looking with the climate of society right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy to pull off a music festival, period. And to be able to pull that off, and you're talking, a few months ago in this completely uncertain time, I think we've gotten a little bit more comfortable with kind of how to go about things now. But at that point, you guys pulling that off is incredible. I want to go into the idea of the music festival real quick. What drove you guys to start your own music festival? Because it is probably the hardest thing to pull off. I mean, you look at, Sun Drive Vibes and Zach and that whole gang doing Surrounded, and you look at all these, artists and bands that are trying to do this now. Tell us about how you got into that and how difficult it really is to pull the thing off.
Yeah. So I guess truth be told, we don't personally take on like a lot of the organization and stuff like that. We're certainly partners in it. And we have a lot of riding on it, obviously. But, I guess early on in Ohio, there was some summers. Ohio's like, people don't realize it's always in memes and joked about, and Cleveland in particular. But I mean, there's a lot of festivals in Ohio. And there was one summer that we played probably a dozen just like small festivals. And we kept thinking like, we could do this and do this better. So we did. And in the first year, I think it's first or second year, it sold out the capacity of the venue we were at then. So now the game is like, how we grow it, how we get it bigger. But like, there's a lot, there's a big demo for festival goers out in this area. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. So we're looking to grow ours to be one of the biggest and the best out here inevitably at some point,
Yeah. And how can people find out more info on Everwild?
Everwild.com, Instagram, all the socials. We'll be announcing hold the date soon for next year. Really looking to take a step next year. So
I think
stay tuned.
I think everybody's looking to take a step and a breath next year. This is kind of this uncertain feeling like we were talking about, but you guys are doing it, man, and you're out there crushing it. Let's talk about some more new stuff you got, man. You have Evolution, which dropped right in the middle of the pandemic, which was a banger, man. And you just dropped this track, Neighborhood, with members of Bone Thugs and Prof. Tell us about what you got coming up, what you've been doing, all that good stuff.
So Neighborhood is the lead single off the next project. It'll be out sometime next year. So we've been busy in the studio. I mean, we pretty much just like finished Evolution and went right back in. So that's been, an ongoing project. I was in the studio earlier today. It's like downtown Cleveland with our buddy Chris DeCola, our producer. So an album coming out in 2022 for sure. Already locked in a few bigger festivals. Will be at Cali Roots, be at 420 Fest in Atlanta, Cali Vibes in Long Beach in February. So hitting the road, just staying grinding. The usual. We also have our spring festival that we host now, which very likely will be back. It's called Sunny Days, and it's at Nelson Ledges Quarry Park.
Yeah. And they keep on doing it, keep on growing it. Tropidelic.com for more info and all that. Check out the Tropaholics too. They're a Facebook fan group, man. They just between you guys and Bumpin' Uglies, the fan groups, I think you win the whole entire game. I think you got more people in yours than the 311 Familia, which is pretty crazy, man. I want to talk about 311 here more in a second because me and you are huge 311 fans. So man, that track Neighborhood featuring Crazy Bone and Prof, man, that is such just a feel good, get down track there. Evolution from 2020 got it, a new record they're working on. They're always working no matter what. They got the festivals, they keep going. You also are a big fan of just events in general, like your festival, also the New Year's Eve shows, man. You got a couple coming up once again in Cleveland, House of Blues. Tell us about that.
Yep. So this year we're doing like a 2-night thing. We started out doing our New Year's Eve shows at the Grog Shop. So we're doing like a December 30th date there where we're like going to do some solo sets, bring some friends in, kind of just have a good time, low key sort of thing. And then New Year's Eve itself on the 31st will be at the House of Blues. This year we got Little Stranger, Quasi Kings, who are actually a great reggae band from Ohio. And then our buddy Toby, who's pretty incredible himself. So tickets available now. Check it out. It's always a huge blast here. We got a lot of people that come in from out of town. Come spend New Year's in Cleveland with us.
Yeah, and go see a Tropidelic show. You guys bring the energy. You bring it's not just a show, man. It's an experience. Tell us about what people are going to experience if they have never been to a Tropidelic gig ever. You guys bring something different. You guys bring the heat.
Thanks, man.
Oh, of
Yeah, I
course.
mean, I don't know. We just, try to just leave it all out there and, do something a little different. It's evolved so much. It never was like kind of like our intent to do the things we do. And we've definitely, honed in on it more. There used to be some really crazy stuff that would happen at a live show, and it's still probably a little out of the ordinary, but not it's tame compared to what it used to be. But
that's very true.
yeah. So over the years, it's just kind of like, oh, hey, why don't we, throw in this and work in some little side steps here and there. And, we used to have like props and crazy shit and guys wearing masks and stuff like that. I mean, it's like, it's leveled off a bit, but, I guess our philosophy is that we want to put on a show. Like, we don't want to just perform our music. We want to give people their money's worth and make sure they have a good time, and we have a great time doing it. So, we want to make sure that that's balanced by, by our audience, or we do our best,
Yeah. And, you were talking about the evolution of your show. I want to talk about the evolution of your sound too. We're listening to, like The Line and, a couple tracks from earlier records yesterday. And then now I'm listening to stuff like Neighborhood. What's the evolution of Tropidelic? You guys have a sound. I don't think that's ever going to change. Once your band gets a sound, you got it. You found it. Where is it going? What do you foresee?
I don't know, man. I don't know where it's going. We're trying to get better at being kind of more cohesive, because, the early days, you could go track on some of these records and think it was, I mean, not only a different record, but a different band, maybe, like it's just totally off the wall. Which is where our tastes are at too. Like, there's so many different tastes within this band. I got so many different tastes. Like, I mean, if any given day, if I'm just like putting something on in the car, it's probably going to be like bluegrass or, hip hop, it's something. So to make it all work. And, this all kind of started out of love for like reggae rock sort of thing. So we're navigating it all and trying to do what's true to us, and, also, what's true to our listeners, and make people happy as best we can while staying true to ourselves. So I couldn't tell you where it's going. I'm just enjoying the ride.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Who knows? We're ever evolving, and we're doing our thing, and we're staying in the present and keeping that mindset right. You said something. I think it was this quote you had. It says, "Every single second is a blessing if you count them all." You and the rest of the band has been through many ups and downs in your life. How have you taken that and turned those into blessings in that statement right there?
Yeah. So that's a lyric from a song. It's been a wild journey, man. It's been said 100 times before, but without those lows, you really can't really fathom and understand, the good times and the blessings really that you've been bestowed. I mean, I look back at my life, like, I've lived a full, amazing life despite all the complete shit I've been through and the horrible stuff we've experienced. I'm thankful. I'm super thankful. I'm super blessed. But I don't know if I quite have that feeling if it wasn't for those moments. So I guess everything's a balance. There's the highs, the lows, the ups and downs, and it's all important to life balance.
Yeah, and if anybody out there doesn't know their story, remember, if you're hanging out one day, ask them about it. They've got Tropidelic has been through just the dirt of life and have come back and come together and found something absolutely magical to do together and to share with people and to help people. You really have, you guys, Cleveland's tough, but you guys are tougher, And I think that's a really true statement. Hey, man, we don't have a whole lot more time, man, but if you guys are just tuning in, you're real late. But it's all right. We got Matt Rhodes, Tropidelic on the video phone here, and man, they are just crushing everything, even through this jamdemic. All kinds of good stuff. Don't forget the New Year's Eve shows coming up, tropidelic.com. A few more questions and we'll get you back out of here. 311. I don't think, I've never interviewed you before. But
Yeah.
I do know that we have talked about 311 before. When did you first hear 311, and what did that do for you and throughout your musical career and personal life?
You know what? I don't know if I could like distinctly point out the first time. It would probably have been like, 90s alt radio sort of stuff. It was probably like Down or one of those. But when I dug deep was like when I was in college, maybe experimenting with drugs. And like it just like was like some like the Transistor record, Evolver, like those records, like I dug deep and it was just a constant, like that was just the number one played thing in our party house back then. So yeah, since I got like a 15-20 year fandom going on with 311, and we've been super blessed to have been on their cruise and played some of the events around their 311 day, which was like right before everything hit the fan with the pandemic. And met them a couple of times, and it's been incredible, man. And not just them, others that like it's just incredible to have some of these artists on songs that like you never could have convinced me like a decade ago that you're gonna have Montes Yahoo on a song, or Crazy Bone, or the Dirty Heads, or any of these guys. It's just fucking incredible. So I'm thankful.
Yeah, man, we all are. And I look back on my career too, and I'm like, wow, I grew up, 15 years old, going to a 311 show, in Atlanta, and then 10, 15 years later, shooting pictures for them and meeting all these crazy people. There is a lot of good in life. You just got to keep pushing on it. Is there anything 311 is, if anybody doesn't know, it's very difficult to actually get to them, even if you're on tour with them or if you're interviewing them or whatever. Have you ever had a moment by chance to sit down with one of them and just chat it up?
No, I haven't. So it's always been in passing and backstage and saying what's up like that. But no, I'd love to at some point, but no.
You and me both. It's so tricky. It's like they're like behind this like locked key and door. I talk with Peter Raspler and he's like, pictures are great, blah, blah, blah. And then you're not talking to him.
You talked to Peanut. You talked to Peanut, didn't you?
Yeah. But I'm talking in person, like sitting
Sure.
down on the bus, like, hey, let's talk about life other than, off the record. You know what I mean? That's always been kind of one of my goals. And I'm sure you guys will have that opportunity sometime in the future. And I see so much influence in your band, from them. I'm sure it's a huge influence with the two MCs, and the drum lines and all this good stuff. And, why wouldn't you love it? It's
Yeah.
Tropidelic. And I got one or two more questions. I really appreciate you calling in, man. I really wanted to talk about 311 with you, especially on the record. Because you guys are such huge fans. And, Peanut said one time, some people, love it and some people don't, but the people who do really love it.
Right.
It's a tribe, man. So, all right. I asked this question to everyone the first time I interview them. And for some reason, I haven't gotten to interview you guys. And I think it's because I met you guys kind of after I had gotten out of the radio and got into the tour managing kind of management side of the business. So stoked to have you on. And it's been an absolute pleasure. Tropidelic.com. Check it out. They get wild. They get crazy. Not as crazy as they used to, but they get a different crazy, a healthier crazy, a happier crazy. And,
That's right.
And here we go. What does reggae mean to you?
What does reggae mean to me? I think it's like just the first thing that jumps to mind is like the spirit of like, rebellion. Like truth be told, like, I got into roots reggae after, like by way of people like, like Brad Noel and Sublime and stuff like that. So we make no qualms about it. We don't claim to be reggae or definitely not roots or anything like that. We certainly a lot of people that may like us are into that sort of thing. But I'd say like it's like there's like a spirit there for sure that's around it in its where in its origin, and I think it's like rebellion is like I guess the first thing that comes to mind. But I'm by no means an expert to speak on reggae.
The cool thing is though, you may not do 100% reggae, but this is a family, and you are part of reggae. You know, it's wild how reggae kind of works in that. Matt, I appreciate you, man. It's been a blast once again. Tropidelic.com for more info. Tropaholics, the group fan page. It's probably surpassed the 311 Familia. That's a check mark on the old list for you there.
I don't know about that either.
I'll have to go check it. You guys, I think maybe you guys and Bumpin' are probably.
I do have a cool 311 story though, so I should have mentioned when you brought it up.
Okay, let's hear it. Let's close it out.
It was one of the dates we opened for him somewhere, and Nick actually slipped in "Come Original." He says, you know, "Tropidelic, come original," like in the song. And that was like, it was like level unlocked. Like I remember I was like walking up the stairs and like my knees buckled. Like I just couldn't believe it. It was so cool. So yeah, I do have a lot of love and respect for them. Power to them, love them.
I'll bet you that was cool. And was it, you know, big right on the mains when you're walking up the stairs? Come Original.
Yeah, it was super cool, man.
All right, man. We'll close it out like that. Hey, real quick, I want to introduce you to my boy Blue. He's my engineer, my guy behind the scenes, make all this stuff looks good.
What's up, brother?
Yeah.
What's up, bro?
Yeah. All right. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you soon. All right.
All right, man. Thanks.
No going back. Can't put the rabbit back in the hat. I'm just trying to stay sober. I wish I could.